Welcome to the Mendoza Podcast, financial talk that makes sense. I'm your Illinois State Controller, Susanna Mendoza, and I want to help answer all the questions you have about money matters, but we're maybe afraid to ask. We're going to learn a lot and have some fun together. Hi, and welcome back to the Mendoza Podcast. We're doing something a little different this week and are on location in beautiful Southern Illinois. I brought some friends along. Of course, my good friend, Senator Dale Fowler, who works so hard for his district. And we also brought a group of Chicago area Central Asian business leaders who were interested in learning more about this beautiful region, downstate Southern Illinois to be specific. One of my favorite places, not just for me, but for my family too. Right now, we are here at the historic Giant City Lodge in Giant City State Park for a chat with one of the coolest people I know, Senator Dale Fowler. Dale, thanks so much for being with us today. I've been down here, as you know, many times. I've lost count of how many. I think I've been down here so much I could register to vote here. But as you know, every time I come, it doesn't matter how many, I fall in love with Southern Illinois a little bit more every single time. I didn't think that was possible, but it always happens to me.
Well, yeah, and thank you. You are always here, and that's what's so special about the friendship that we have. And you see the beauty here, and what's really special too, you see the opportunity that lies here in Southern Illinois. Just like this beautiful lodge and just everything we have to offer. I know you were at the Garden of the Gods and visiting some other locations. You've been all over Southern Illinois, and there's just so much to see here, and that's what's encouraging, and that's why what we're doing today is to let people know that Southern Illinois is a great place to vacation, bring your family, and once you come one time, you're going to want to keep coming back.
For sure. So, why do you think specifically? I mean, you live here, you've raised your family here, but give us a quick sell, right, on why you think that this is a great place to live or why you think it's a great place to start a business.
Well, it is a great place to live and start a business, with not just the beauty we have. I have, in my 59th Senate District, I have 20 Illinois Department of Natural Resource state parks. Plus, guess what else? The incredible Shawnee National Forest, where you mentioned the Garden of the Gods and so much more, the rivers, the lakes, just the beauty, but also the people. Down here in Southern Illinois, we're rural. Everybody knows each other. Everybody, takes care of each other. And very welcoming. I know you see it all. You and I talk about how welcoming everyone is when you come in, and it's not just because you're the comptroller, but you see it. You see it.
No, look, without a doubt, we had 13 people from Central Asia in yesterday. These are big business types who were asking me for advice in helping them expand their businesses in the Chicagoland region. And I said to them, why are you just looking at Chicagoland? Look, I'm from Chicago. I love Chicago. But these 13 Central Asian folks come from countries like Uzbekistan and, right next door to what they used to literally be Russia. And they come from a mountainous region of the world. Tons of lush forests and gardens and, like I said, mountains. And so they don't get that in Chicago or Chicagoland. And their businesses are businesses that could be anywhere in any part of the country. So why not think about learning about Southern Illinois, and can you imagine your family being here? I felt like for folks like that, they would feel much more at home in a region like this than they do up north. So not to say they shouldn't have their businesses in Northern Illinois, of course they should, but if looking to expand their business, they should be looking at this region of the state. But you know what they said? Besides all the beautiful things that they saw, and we were like at Garden of the Gods, and they were FaceTiming their families, they're like, oh my gosh, we're kind of like back home, right? And they were so into it. But when we recapped, and I said, what was a favorite thing or the most surprising thing that you saw in Southern Illinois? And their answer universally, Dale, I'm not making this up, was people were so hospitable. They were so welcoming. We did not expect that. Everyone treated us like we were family, like they wanted us here. He's like, and that is not something you get up north. He's like, we like it, that's all we know. But now that we know this, it's like you could see their brains churning as so they can imagine themselves being here. And at the end of the day, really contributing to the economic growth of this region.
Absolutely. And, Perfectly said. And Southern Illinois is on the radar, like in my opinion, it's never been. I have an ag background, a business background, a banking background, obviously a state senator. I'm a former mayor. So I've been involved in trying to bring, prosperity to Southern Illinois for a long, long, long time. And you're seeing these companies now, such as the group that you just brought in and many others that I've been working with as well. The geographic location of Southern Illinois, our two mighty rivers, our rail, our interstate highways, the just where we live, and our property is very reasonable, and we have property available. So, I've been working with companies from all over the country that are looking at Southern Illinois and investing in Southern Illinois now.
Sure.
So, job creation, they see our school systems, they love our school systems that we have, and just the opportunities that we have for our youth, and the business creation and job creation that's been transpiring over the last few years is pretty awesome. So, now we're working on housing development projects because we need housing, just like the entire state does, the entire region does. So we're really working with companies like that to bring in maybe a prefabricated home manufacturing plant, because as we can continue to create more jobs here in Southern Illinois, we also want people to have an opportunity for a nice place to live, right? So this is something that we're working on. It's fun to be on the radar.
Yeah, there's so much going on. I told these guys, this is like when you think about a stock, right? You got to think about Southern Illinois that way. It's like if you were lucky enough to get in before people knew that this was going to be like the next Amazon or the next, Palantir or the next whatever big, huge stock, NVIDIA, right? At some point, it was just growing and people didn't really know. And they invested and it was cheap. And then now they're like gazillionaires, right? Because they invested in the stock when other people hadn't. They were very smart. And the smart investor should be looking at Southern Illinois. You think about Cairo, right? You and I have talked about this. We're so passionate about Cairo. You go there and you could be depressed, or you could be inspired as to what you see the opportunity is for that region. Being at the confluence of the two rivers, a port project that will get done. And once that happens, that whole region's gonna boom. So folks should be looking at these regions as, areas that absolutely will grow over time. And I think quickly, frankly, not over 20, 30, 40 years, but we're on that verge of major economic growth. And so, yeah, a lot of the folks that we brought, they were either in the development space or they were a lot of them in the trucking space. And there's so many trucks that go through Southern Illinois and are gonna cross the whole country. Some of these guys have 500 trucks in their fleets. I mean, these are very successful business people who I think absolutely could see the opportunity once they were here. In Chicago, they can't imagine it, right? So that's why it's important to get people here. And that's why it's also great that besides, I wanted them to drive to Southern Illinois so they could see how the topography changes, that we're not just a flat state, we're not just the prairie state. But then we talked about, you know what, you can get on a flight from O'Hare.
That's right.
And in an hour, less than an hour, you're wheels to wheels in Marion, Illinois. And there's this massive connection of like bringing Southern and Northern Illinois together in under an hour is pretty tremendous.
Absolutely. And spot on people, the speculative aspect of businesses, people, investors seeing what's going on here. And you mentioned Cairo. Yes, since we announced the port project and, the navigation, we were just talking, the navigation study came back positive and everything's continuing to move forward. So there's people investing in Cairo, Illinois. They're buying property. They're looking at putting in housing. Just built a duplex down there, the first residential project that's been in Cairo since like 1978. So you're seeing this momentum. And then, then we can go into the Starbond project at Marion about, the businesses that saw this coming. So they started investing in Williamson County and surrounding area, knowing that this was going to come, this amazing sports complex and everything else that's coming and all these amazing jobs.
Rodney's doing incredible work over there, Rodney Cabinet.
They're talking about 2,300 new jobs in the next 2 to 5 years, actually a little sooner than 2 years. So you saw these companies investing early because they saw this coming. So they were very smart. More hotels being built.
Yes. By the way, they're beautiful. That was another thing these guys said from Central Asia. They're like, we're impressed at how new everything is, right? They stayed at 3 different hotels, and I stayed at the Home to Suites this weekend as well, and they're beautiful. I mean, they're sparkling clean and have all the amenities. And, again, if you don't know what's in Southern Illinois. You can't imagine it. That's why it's so important to get people out here.
Yeah, and it's really encouraging to see, all this development going on. You're seeing some of the smaller communities, like some of our river towns, our outskirt towns of Williamson County and other areas, starting to prosper and see the opportunity, because as we got the new meat processing plant that's getting ready to, that's 400 and some odd new jobs too. They're not even including that, so they see the opportunity here, and so these other towns, especially with housing, are going to be able to benefit, and we all know what happens then, right?
For sure.
When you start, developing housing, those people are going to need places to live. So
yeah, they're going to come.
Yeah, so
it's just such a beautiful place to live. That's the thing. I mean, I love Southern Illinois. I wish I had the financial resources to have a house down here, because I'd be down here even more. You know what I mean? There's just so much to do, and I do think that we're so blessed to have this 1 hour contour flight. Yes. Truly, because even if it's just a day trip, like I'm going to keep trying to bring people from Chicago, let's come in, and you know what happens once you're down here and you start to see things that you did not imagine. You're like, why am I coming home tomorrow? Right? Like you want to stay, and then that's the magic about Southern Illinois. If you come here with your family for a weekend, and it's the first time you've been here, you're just going to leave disappointed that you didn't stay longer, but you're going to leave knowing that you're going to come back. That's again and again and again, right? Because this place is magical. You're not going to have enough time in a weekend to go canoeing, to go rafting, to go fishing, to go zip lining in the Shawnee National Forest, to go to Garden of the Gods, to go to Cave and Rock, to, camp out, like horseback riding, right at Giant City Stables. Mm-hmm. We're here at Giant City Park. There's just like an endless amount of fun things to do with your family. Mm-hmm. And the wineries, right? Like, oh my goodness, that's like a whole weekend in and of itself.
Yeah, and I got to give a plug to the wineries, because this year is the 30th anniversary of the Shawnee Wine Trail. We have 20 plus wineries here. So you add all this up. This is a Southern Illinois is a destination. So that's what we're really trying to do through, our Southern Illinois Treasures Initiative too, promoting Southern Illinois and getting this out throughout the country. All this information.
I
about
love your series, by the way. It's so fun.
And the feedback we're getting from that, when I'm up in Springfield or up in Chicago and I'm in meetings and things like that, say, hey, we've been watching your treasure series. Yeah, we're coming down, or we came down, or we're planning a trip. And you mentioned the Contour flight. So the CEO of Contour actually mentioned to me just a few months ago that of all the Contour flights, this is their number one flight.
Oh, and it's only going to get, but they're going to have to add flights still, because I'm telling you, I was on this flight just for, I had an event that I could not cancel on Thursday night, so I came Friday morning and I took the flight. My team was already down here, they drove, but that flight was full. Yeah. I mean, it was full. I was like, wow. The first couple times I took it, maybe there were like 6 or 8 people on it, but that flight was full, and you got to book like ahead now. So my hope is that we actually see them add another flight, because this place is hopping.
Absolutely, and I think you will, because the demand's going to create that, right? And especially now that the company Contour sees how vital this flight is, and they're talking about that there's more people taking the flight coming from Chicago to get down here, right?
Yep.
Than there is people going up, because obviously there's the business travelers and things like that, but there's so many people from Chicago that are taking the flight solely just to come down and visit, or prospect for business opportunities, right? And things like that. Mm-hmm. So that's really what you want to hear as well.
Totally. Yeah. So if Contour is watching, please add another flight.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. Well, they have 2 round trips now a day, I think, except on the weekends.
Well, sometimes on the weekends, I think it's on Saturdays, they only have 1 flight.
Right, hopefully that'll pick up.
Yeah, I need them to add another flight, yes. But,
right.
Well, whatever, they're not necessarily going to listen to me. But as a Contour flyer myself sometimes, an extra flight on Saturday would be great.
Well, I think they're seeing that it's needed. So I know obviously it's a process, but to know that they're thinking about it and they know the success of this flight is important.
Well, so what else is new that I might not know about? What else is going on in the region that's new that, I feel like I got a really great pulse on everything happening here, but you have a better pulse. So what's new?
And you do, because you're here all the time, and people notice that, and thank you, because I know you love
you guys,
coming down here. I mean, you're a big fan. But just the opportunities the companies that see in Southern Illinois, as we alluded to a little bit earlier. As an example, last year, I went out to Buena Vista, Colorado, and toured a prefabricated home manufacturing plant. Mm. They see the demand that Southern Illinois has for need for housing, And there's a lot of interest there. The 3D printed.
Yeah, you and I visited that 3D printed house.
Yes, 3D printed duplex, the very first 3D printed home residential project in Southern Illinois. In fact, the local company that owns this machine, it's the only one in the state of Illinois. And I believe there's only at the time, there's only 7 nationwide of these machines to be able to print out these 3D printed homes.
And they donated that.
They donated the first
like a project of love, right?
It was a project of love, and it's created a lot of attention to maybe build more. Because again, the port, and then also the port project in Shawneetown. There's 2 port projects. It's really encouraging. We got the one in Cairo, and then we have the one in Shawneetown. So Cairo on the Mississippi, one in Shawneetown on the Ohio, and that project is actually getting ready to go out for bid. And it's really expedited because it's a former coal loading dock on the Ohio River, so it's already permitted with the Army Corps of Engineers. So it's just more of a conversion type project, right? Because it's really kind of already there. So they know they got to build the belts and some buildings and infrastructure, some new roads going in. So and that's going to be for fertilizer. It's going to help our agricultural industry for fertilizer transportation, and also there's some interest in container transportation there as well. So hopefully that's going to get up and going soon. So and that's a huge boost to Gallatin County, because that's another area of Southern Illinois that's been kind of, it's very rural, very ag related. It's been kind of left behind. It's a little bit so they need love too. So you're seeing it spread out throughout the entire region.
That's awesome. I mean, there's just so much. That's the whole point, right? So we got to get people from Northern Illinois to come here, but also from even neighboring states, right? I mean, what's happening with that Starbond project in Marion is going to turn Marion into an absolute tourist hub, right? You're going to see people coming in from Kentucky or Missouri or whatever, because they have so much going on, like a world-class sports complex. They're likely going to have an awesome, water kind of type park right there.
The Top Golf
type venue.
Then the mall, it's going to be,
the mall is going to be the largest.
Entertainment, yes.
Yeah, well, they're going to have also entertainment for kids and families, like go-karts and stuff like that.
Inside the mall,
Inside the mall. And they're also going to have the largest showcase of outdoor recreational vehicles, like jet skis or RVs or whatever, in the world.
That's right, number
one.
Not
just in Illinois or in the country, but in the world. Right here close by, in Marion, Illinois. And then what else are they going to have? They already have the largest Harley-Davidson dealer in the world is in Marion, Illinois. So these are things I think a lot of people don't realize, they don't know. When they hear about it, they're like, really? But I'm like, yeah, really, get your butt down to Southern Illinois. It's the best.
Yeah, and that's what, and these guys, Rodney and Shad and this whole team there at Black Diamond, the Oasis project is called Starbond,
right.
Which you had a big role in that.
Yes, that was my baby too. And
you had a big role in that.
A lot of people don't know that, but yes, I passed an angel investor tax credit back in 2011. And the Starbond bill, no one wanted to pass it because there was a lot of infighting from the Southern and Central Illinois people. I should have it. No, we should have it. No, we should have it. So it wasn't going anywhere, and nobody had it. And so then I attached my angel investor tax credit language, which everybody supported, to the Starbond bill so that we could get it out.
Sure.
And the Starbond bill passed back in 2011 with my language on it. John Bradley was the sponsor of the Starbond bill.
Right.
Who represented Marion, Illinois back then. But with the language that we added to it that everybody liked and everybody wanted to get passed, we were able to get this bill out. And who knew that, I was just a state rep from Chicago back then, that all these years later I'd get to see the fruits of that bill come to life.
It's got to make you feel good. It's got to make you feel good.
It makes me feel so great. You have no idea.
It's the first Starbond project in the entire state of Illinois. And this is setting a template for other Starbond projects throughout the entire state. So this is going to be a showpiece. Hopefully,
for sure, and then that revenue gets to stay in that.
That's right.
In that region,
goes
right?
back into school. Goes back into
right.
schools. Goes back into infrastructures, and I want to touch on infrastructure just a little bit too. And another reason why Southern Illinois is really on the radar is because the improvements are being made to our roads and bridges. Right, You're seeing the 6-lane being built all the way from Mount Vernon all the way down to 24. Because the truck. You talked about the trucking industry. I mean, there's trucks and. So you're really seeing massive investment from, on our infrastructure, our roads and bridges, and that's helping as well. So
you're right off the highway for everything. This is the place to be. And we've talked about, Dale, how our waterways are underutilized in the state of Illinois, and they're one of our biggest gems. So we think about traffic. How do you get goods from point A to point B? Well, Illinois, our roadways are, of course, what you think of, right? You think of all the semis going down the trailer, with the trailers, and they're transporting the goods. But our waterways are like highways, but on the water, right? And so that port project, the one in Cairo, the one in Shinatown, these are critical infrastructure projects that you might not think of water as infrastructure, but you have to.
It is, and it's the most economical form of transportation that there is. And
That's right.
I've learned a lot just by being in meetings and listening to the maritime professionals and Riverport Transportation, listening to them and the statistics from all the way, Louisiana and Florida and Colorado. I mean, it's all over that are talking about this project. And something that's really interesting that I found out about is that 80% of all inland barge traffic in the entire nation flows by Cairo, Illinois.
That's amazing.
80%. And
yeah.
So I have an app that I can go on and look at real-time traffic on the Ohio River right there at that confluence, and it's amazing to see the vessels flowing on the Mississippi and Ohio. So
that's awesome.
And so it's time, and you're seeing these vessels now operating on liquid natural gas, right, and things like that, practically wake-free. So you're seeing, that form of transportation really improving as well for the barges and things. So it's encouraging. We got some work to do still on the Cairo project, but the fact that it passed the navigation study perfectly. They're working on the environmentals now and things like that. You've been down there, you spent a lot of time down there, and I know you're a cheerleader for the project.
Oh, big time. Whenever I get those vouchers, I pay them right away.
I know you do.
You get them, send me more vouchers. Yes.
You do, absolutely.
But you're such an amazing advocate for this region of the state, so I want to thank you for that, because I feel like I truly have a great partner, someone who loves Southern Illinois so much. I feel like you're in this line of work for all the right reasons. And I've been doing this for many, many years and worked with lots of different people. And I pride myself for my bipartisan collaboration.
Absolutely.
I'm a Democrat from Chicago, but work with everyone, because guess what? Your constituents are my constituents, and I want to do the best job I can for your constituents. But your constituents should know that you are such a hard worker. You literally lead with your heart on your sleeve. People know it, they can see it, and they know authenticity when they see it, right? So I love working with you because I feel like I have a real partner in getting things done for Southern Illinois, and I really want to see this place boom, because in my mind it already has, I know what I want it to look like and feel like, and we're on the way. Yes, we're on the way. It's so fun to see it. But again, it's because of good leadership, and you're doing a great job.
Thank you. It's the way I was raised. My parents were both very philanthropic and just did things for others, and that's the way I was taught to do things for other people. And my dad taught me business at a very young age, and I just learned so much from them, and just wanted to carry that tradition on. Because some of the most important things we can do is to help others, right? And that's what we're doing. And,
well, you do it all the time. I mean, talk a little bit about your foundation work.
Oh, thank you. Created it 24 years ago, actually, my foundation. Raised on a farm in El Dorado. I graduated high school at El Dorado and ended up becoming the mayor of Harrisburg, which was our arch rivals at the time.
That's funny.
Ended up becoming mayor there. That's kind of a funny story.
Traitor.
It's kind of a funny story that we've had a lot of fun with. But I remember as a child living out in the country, lived 5 miles north of town in El Dorado in the country, and when the school bus would kind of get off the beaten path and pick up this little brother and sister, they're kind of off this gravel road, and they would come running out of this somewhat dilapidated type house and wearing somewhat tattered clothing, but they always came running out of that house with a smile on their face. But I always felt so sorry for them. I'm going back to when I was like 8 or 9 years old, and the one of them was 1 year older than me. One was in my class, but I always remembered how they were treated in school. Like, ooh, germs, don't. I mean, it was just so, I always felt so sorry for them because I was on the school bus with them all. And we didn't have a lot growing up, but, for Christmas, I'd get a ball glove or something. When we come back off Christmas break, I was always hesitant to talk about maybe the ball glove I got, because of what they did see.
Right?
So that memory had been embedded in me all my life. 24 years ago, this fall, I woke up in the middle of the night and I said, you know what, I want to raise some money for some children that need a new wardrobe, a complete new wardrobe, 3 or 4 pair of jeans, 3 or 4 socks, a pair of socks, shirt, underwears,
whatever
shirts, whatever they needed. And that my very first, and I wanted to go back to that elementary school where my memory had occurred because it's still there, right? So I went out and I raised $1,500 first year. I was actually the president of the United Way of Southern Illinois at that time, so I kind of did it through that little umbrella, being involved in charity. And so I raised $1,500. I went back to the school and met with the teachers privately, and I said, I've raised $1,500. You are the ones that know the children. I told my story about how they were, great kids, had a smile on their face. A couple of days later, a teacher calls me and she said, Dale, I got to tell you about this little girl. Almost the exact scenario. She comes in and they're just poor, but she's the sweetest little girl. Can we help this little girl? I said, absolutely, this will be number one. So the teacher and I went shopping for the little girl, got her the jeans and shirts and socks and coat and shoes, everything brand new, right? And a couple of days after that, the teacher calls me and she said, Dale, I got to tell you about the little girl. Came running into my class lane, came running up to my desk and said, teacher, look at my new shoes, look at my new clothes. So guess what that did to that teacher when she's having lunch with the other teachers? She saw the difference in self-confidence and self-esteem within a local girl. So fast forward now, I could talk about this all day long, but fast forward now, in 2024, we provided over 900 children with a complete new wardrobe. We have our own 501c3 not-for-profit now.
How much did that cost?
We average about $150 per child.
Okay.
And our volunteer, we're strictly volunteers. Everyone's 100% volunteers. We shop sales at Walmarts and Kohl's and things like that. It's a confidential referral program through schools and social agencies. And then 7 years ago, this coming September, we created Heaven's Kitchen, a meal program. And now we just, in the last 3 weeks, we're now an official food pantry as well. So we're delivering food all over Southern Illinois. And not only are we delivering food through our food pantry, we're doing something very unique because our meal kitchen that we had at the time, we were also delivering hot meals to shut-in senior citizens and disabled that couldn't get out. So we are now delivering groceries to those. And that's something that's very unique for a food pantry because we don't know of any food pantries that actually does that.
Yeah,
so,
right, exactly.
It's just been amazing, but it's only because, like you were talking about, Southern Illinois people that support, they see what we're doing, they see the difference it's making in the lives of others. To be able to put new clothes on children, because what we want is we want children to have the opportunity to wear new shoes and clothes to school, get them through the fall and winter months that otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity, and also have a warm meal, a hot food in their bellies too. So,
yeah, no, for sure.
So we have,
but
thank you for asking about that. But it's probably one of the most important things that I do. And
that's awesome.
It's only because of the generosity of the people from Southern Illinois.
And then on July 19th, you're going to be having the
Southern Illinois Made Expo. Yes.
Yeah, and then all of the proceeds of that expo go to veterans.
That's right, 100%. Created in 2018, back from my business background, and when I really when I was elected to the state senate, sworn in January of 17, started really visiting a lot of the manufacturers because not just anybody can walk into a manufacturing like an Ison manufacturing because it's not.
By the way, that Ison campus is gigantic.
Yeah, they got like
over
2,000 employees.
Yeah, that's like an example of anyone from Chicago coming here and seeing that, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
This is so huge, and it's state of the art, and it's incredible.
So I just came up with this idea that I wanted, because it's truly amazing what's made manufactured here in Southern Illinois. From the sunroofs at Ison Manufacturing.
And Ison is a Japanese company.
It is, to 17th Street barbecue sauce, and everything in between. So I met with my staff, and it was late 2018, and I said, hey, I've got this idea. I want to create an event and showcase everything that's made and manufactured in Southern Illinois, plus our destinations. So we talked about it for several weeks, and finally came up with the idea of the Southern Illinois Made Expo. And then I wanted, as you mentioned, I wanted it to have a purpose as well. So 100% of all the proceeds has always gone to a veterans organization. So it's going to be July the 19th at the Pavilion in Marion. SIMade.org is the website. It's filling up with vendors. We've been having thousands of people that have come through the doors to see all these incredible destinations. And this year, we're supporting the Marion VA Food Pantry, which also does not only supplies the Marion area, but the entire region for food for our veterans. And in fact, we've heard some really heartwarming stories about how that pantry has helped some of
Yeah,
our
make a
struggling
difference.
veterans.
Now you had like originally, did you raise like 28 or 30,000 for
Very
it?
first year in 2018.
Yeah, and then like 80 something thousand.
Yes, the very first year we were out, and I was like over the moon happy. Like, how much money do you think you're going to raise? Because we have sponsorships, right? People would make donations
Sure,
at
sure.
the doors and things. And I said, I don't know. We just want to work hard, raise as much money as we can, and be able to help. Like we helped Honor Flight of Southern Illinois
Which is
that
so
particular
cool.
year.
By the
Yeah.
way, Blue Sky Winery has a bottle for the Honor
Yes,
Flight. Did you know that?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you buy like $5 and then they match it, or they do something, a
that's
donation
exactly-
for the
that's
Blue
exactly
Sky.
right.
I mean, for the Honor Flight out of Southern Illinois. But I was at that Blue Sky Winery, and it is
Yeah.
incredible. Like, people have to go.
Incredible support, and
We keep going. I
yeah,
took
but
you
no,
off track.
but yeah, that first year in 18, we raised $28,000, which was a grand slam, right? So then last year every year we've raised a little bit more. Last year we raised right at 84,000.
So this year we got to go over 100.
So all in all, of course, we had the 2 years of COVID, right? So mark that out. So we've raised a little over, not counting this year, we've raised over $350,000 from that Southern Illinois Made Expo to help local
That
veterans
is awesome.
organizations.
And all of it goes. Like, remind people,
100%.
100%.
All the costs are underwritten, and so it's all 100% is going to our veterans. So not only do you get to see what's made and manufactured in Southern Illinois, you get to visit. Shawnee National Forest will be there. We'll have other venues there that are showcasing tourism in Southern Illinois,
Sure.
and then get to help veterans. Well, how much better does it get?
No, it doesn't get much better than that. And at the end of the day, Southern Illinois is so awesome that we had to do 2 podcasts. And we could do probably 5 or 6, but we're going to do 2. So join us for part 2.